Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. I'm making a video. I'm going to be calling this basically WWE New York, the world. This is a video that I've been thinking about doing since I went to WWE's, the home of their former store at Niagara Falls back in the fall when I went to Ravi's wedding. I never had a chance to go to WWF New York, but from watching the WWF pay-per-views back in the day or watching Sunday Night Heat, it was an idea where Vince McMahon and the WWF opened up a restaurant in Times Square, basically the biggest place that there is in the United States. That so many different people go to on a daily basis when they're traveling to New York City. And you've got kids. They basically want to. Be entertained. And when the adults are going around sightseeing, seeing whatever there is in New York City there is to see, most kids, they see WWF New York, they're going to say, hey, I want to eat there. When I was growing up, there was All-Star Cafes, which was basically the same thing as like the Hard Rock Cafe was. The Hard Rock Cafe is basically like a rock and roll museum where you can go and you can get a burger and fries. All-Star Cafe was something that was opened. I believe it was like Joe Montana, Shaquille O'Neal, Mario Lemieux, basically like the all-stars of sports got together and they opened up a restaurant. I remember going to Cancun, Mexico, and basically saying that was where I wanted to go. That's the only time that I've ever been to an all-star cafe. I don't think they're open anymore. Hard Rock cafes are kind of hard to find. I remember it was a big deal when Sacramento got one. It was open for probably less than 10 years before it was forced to close down just because people weren't really going to it. I think there's a Hard Rock in Vegas. I don't think it's really on my list of things to do, but it is one place to kind of think of. Wearing a Hard Rock, cafe t-shirt back in the day, that was a really big deal, basically saying that you'd went to a certain place in the world, whether it was like New York, Chicago. I know I've been to the Atlanta one. I've been to the Reno one. No, not Reno. Tahoe one. And I've been to the Sacramento one here. I've probably been to the San Francisco one if I really think about it, but I'm not 100% sure. But basically, it was a wild time. If I could tell you that Vince McMahon, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and The Rock were just a license to print money back in 1998, 1999. We all know that Vince McMahon, he took the WWF company and he went public with it. That I believe happened in the fall of 1999. There must have just been a flood of money with them selling stock rolling into it, because in the same year, WWF decided that they were going to buy a hotel casino in Las Vegas. That was when they purchased the Debbie Reynolds Casino. I'm going to be making a video. I think I already made a video about it, but I'm actually going to be going and making another video of the parking lot in Las Vegas. It's on the north end of the Strip. There's nothing built there. It's literally just an empty lot. A lot like when we went to the Sportatorium in Dallas. We'll go to see it, but at the same time, Vince McMahon went and he leased out the Paramount Theater in Times Square, and basically had the idea he's going to open up a store that was going to sell WWF merchandise, whether it's t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, keychains, posters, DVDs, action figures. And at the same time, he's going to be bringing people in to go through his store there. He's going to try and sell them some burger and fries. He's going to try and sell them a steak. They had a full bar in there. This was all heavily featured on WWF. Basically, almost every pay-per-view, they would have a wrestler who wasn't being used on that card. Whether if it was Big Show, whether if it was Hardcore Holly, the Dudleys, they would be there and they would just kind of like do a drop in where they'd say, hi, I'm coming to you from the pay-per-view watch party. Where I read about it is that the people could buy tickets to go in and watch the show standing room only, or they could dine in the restaurant and your bill basically would cover a lot, like if you went to a local Hooters or if you went to a local, bar that might have, WWF pay-per-views on there. I'm not really sure if that's a really big deal. I know that when WCW and like the Monday Night Wars were going down, I would work my shift at Pizza Hut, and when I left, I basically went to this oyster bar that was next to it, and they would let me stand in their foyer because they were technically a bar and watch the show on the television from there. But they always told me that if like a cop ever came in, I just had to immediately just walk out, and I was not allowed to cross across the line. I did make that mistake once. I got yelled to get back in there when I was marking out over something that was going down. That was kind of crazy. But that's just kind of what they did. They started hosting Sunday Night Heat. They would have Michael Cole and Taz in the place hosting the show, but they were mainly just tossing the matches that were filmed on the road at Raw and SmackDown. Every once in a while, they would have like a band perform a song if it was going to be used on one of like the WWF CDs that would come out with the wrestler's theme song on it. I know that they had Stone Cold Steve Austin there with the band one time. That was a really big deal. But they never really had matches. They never put a ring in there. And I think that was one thing that really would have put it over the top. But if you're like being like the general manager of the restaurant or the bar, and you figure like, we're basically going to have to close down for a night because you don't have anywhere to put tables for, the restaurant, you're basically going to have to tell the kitchen staff they don't have a job that night because, Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock are coming in there. I thought that it honestly was a really, really good idea. They featured the place on their own television. They put it inside video games where you can go and you could wrestle there. The only problem was they kept showing losses where people, were going to the place, but they just weren't making money. Having the high rent of being in Times Square in New York, I think was a big deal. But there was a huge scandal that rolled out that there was basically an employee that was there that was skimming off the top hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that would basically lead to the downfall of the restaurant in 2002 when WWF lost their naming rights to being WWF. They changed the name to the World instead of basically putting like WWE on there, just trying to make it more marketable. It was being run more of like a nightclub that you could go to the bar. You could also get drinks at the restaurant. They never closed the WWE merchandise store, but within a year of that, they basically just called for the closing. It's easily one of the biggest things that WWE, Vince McMahon, has lost money on because of the fact that they had to cut their lease. And then once they left, the place ended up being vacant for over a year. But before the Hard Rock Cafe came in. If you go to Times Square now, you go to the Hard Rock Cafe, that is what WWF New York, the World, was. And someday I'll get a chance to go there. WWE, to this day, they have not turned their back on the location. I think that they have a familiarity with it. They hosted the 2006 Diva Search finale there, as well as they've held major press conferences for WrestleMania. It's been a while since they used the location, but I think that, anytime they've ever called the Hard Rock and they basically said that they wanted to use it, it's there for their liking. But I think at this point, with WWE being so big, I think that even it being in Times Square, I think it's too small for anything they want to do. I mean, heck, the WrestleMania press conference went down in a Las Vegas huge stadium, not a stadium, but a huge hall. Basically, you remember The Rock, Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, all being on the stage there with Roman Reigns, and that was crazy. But on my list of things to do, I don't know really where it would have fit into my WrestleMania 29 trip. But, besides for, seeing like the 9/11 stuff, that's the one chance that I've had to go to New York, and I didn't take it, that I missed out on. Getting a picture in front of WWF New York is one of the things I really missed out on in my time.